Good morning, dear students. Today I am starting the new chapter, class 9th, the fundamental units of life. What is the fundamental unit of life? So, what are the functions of it? How it looks? What is the structure of it? Let us learn in detail. So, there is a story behind it in the invention of fundamental unit of life. Once, the great scientist Robert Hooke, when he was working in the lab, he took the piece of thin cork. Then he observed using the self-prepared microscope. He saw honeycomb-like structures in the cork. He saw the honeycomb-like structures in the cork. So it resembled the structure of honeycomb, and he saw many number of honeycomb-like structure, small components in that cork. So he named it as cell. So what is that cork? Cork is nothing but it is obtained from the bark of the tree. When he used the self-prepared microscope, he observed the honeycomb-like structures. Okay, in that he saw many small little components in that, compartments in that. So then he took more interest in the field of this, and he did so many researchers invention about this. The honeycomb-like structure which is observed using the microscope, that he called it as cell. The word cell is derived from the Latin word which means little room. Cell is a Latin word which means little room. Later he used so many organisms, so many living organisms, and he observed using the microscope. There also he found the similar structures like this. That he called it as cell. So in today's class, let us learn more about what is cell, what are the functions of it, how it does looks. Let us learn in detail. Let me show one video. Through this video, let us observe what is present in the peel of onion. Here we use the microscope and we can observe the structure of the cell now.
For doing this experiment, we require some materials such as glass slide, cover slip, onion, forceps, blotting paper, methylene blue, glycerin, watch glass, needle and microscope. First we have to take an onion peel from onion. Then break it into two and try to separate them. We noticed that a thin translucent membrane holding the pieces together. Take out a small piece of membrane with the help of forceps. Place it on a clean glass slide and spread it evenly. Then add a drop of water to it. Put a drop of methylene blue and leave it for 5 to 10 minutes. Carefully wipe off the extra stain with the help of blotting paper. Then put a drop of glycerin on it. Next, cover it with a cover slip without any air bubbles. Let us observe the nucleus in onion peel cells under the microscope.
What do you observe in this? Through the microscope, you can observe the structures. Okay, you can observe the structures which is similar to the structure given in your textbook. These are nothing but cells of onion peel. These are the cells of an onion peel. Okay, when you observe the structure of these onion peel, okay, if you take the piece of onion and if you see under the microscope, you can see these shapes, you can see these structures. So this structure, okay, if you take any type of onion bulb, the structure is similar in all the onion bulbs. There is no difference in the structure of these. So this is known as the cell. So this is the basic fundamental unit of any living organisms. Are similar in all the living organisms. There is no difference. If you take the size of the onion bulb or the size of the living organism may vary, but the structure of this cell is throughout any living organism is same. So that is the fundamental unit of life. These small structures are the basic fundamental units of the life. So we can see so many living organisms around us. All these living organisms are made up of these fundamental unit of life, that is cell. The intervention of the magnifying lens may lead into the discovery of the microscopic world. So slowly the scientists researched about these cells and how to observe these cell structure, how to understand the functions of it. They in the beginning they prepared the simple microscope, then they higher resolution microscope they prepared. So by using that microscope, they understood, they learnt, they did so many researches about the cells. So we can observe in the here we can classify the living organisms into two types. They are unicellular and multicellular. In the unicellular, all the body functions are the body functions are carried away by the process of diffusion. All the body function is carried out by the single cell. So we can give so many examples for the unicellular organisms such as amoeba, then chlamydomonas, paramecium, bacteria, etc. On the other hand, there are many cells are grouped into one organ, one tissue, and they are specified in their functions. In some organisms, there are in the multicellular organisms we can see the group of cells, and it combines to form one organ system or the body, and they are specified, each part is specified in its own functions. So such type of organisms we call it as multicellular organisms. Here the structure of the living organism is complex, and we can the structure and the cells are, there are various kinds of cells. We can see the various kinds of cells in the multicellular organisms. The structure is similar, but the functions vary from one cell to another. Each cell is specified for their own function, and every multicellular organisms are or every multicellular organisms are every multicellular organisms has come from the single pre-existing cell. There is a first there is one cell that is divided into many number of cells. There is cell division takes place. So so each cell is obtained by the pre-existing cell. There is cell division. There is a process of cell division takes place in the multicellular organisms. Okay, some organisms have different kinds of cells in the body. So in this picture, it depicts the different various kinds of cells in a human body. You can see in the picture, such as this is a smooth muscle cell, this is a smooth muscle cell, this is a blood cell, this is a nerve cell, and this one is ovum cell, this is bone cell, and this one is sperm cell, and this one is fat cell. So some organisms have different kinds of cells in them, because the structure is complex, and there are various parts to the single cell cannot be able to manage all the body functions. That is why they have various kinds of various kinds of body parts, various cells they have in order to carry out the different body functions. So these are the different kinds of cells which are found in the human body. The function of each cell is different. Muscle cell is found in the muscles. Blood cells found in the bloods. Nerve cell in the nervous system. This is ovum in the reproductory parts, and this one bone cell found in the bones. Fat cell, which it's found in the storage cell, okay, which stores the energy for the further application. Fat cell. These are various kinds of cells. But in some type of organisms like amoeba and all, they does not require these various kinds of cell. The structure of the amoeba is small. Only single cell is able to manage all the body functions, and all the body functions is carried out by the process called diffusion. Through the diffusion, all these a digestion process, then then supply of energy and removal of waste to body from the energy takes place through the single cell. Because the structure is simple, that is why it is able to manage all the body functions through the single cells, and it have the ability to change the shape of the cell. The cell shape may change, okay, as per its requirement. But in case of human body, we can find various kinds of cells, and more or less the cells, these various kinds of cells have the capacity to retain. They have the fixed size and shape for these cells, okay. The size of these different kinds of cells will remain the same, more or less will remain the same. There is no changes in the there is no changes in the shape of these various kinds of cells in them, okay. Next thing which I want to tell you is, okay, each cell has the capacity to carry out its specific functions. each cell have the capacity even they have the different kinds of cells. Each cell have the capacity to carry out their specified functions. How does these cells carry out these life processes? How does these perform their specialized characteristics form? We know that in the multicellular organisms, they have different body parts, they have specialized structure, they have the different kinds of cells, and we can observe the division of labor. We can observe the division of labor. What does it mean? See, there is various parts, various organ system to carry out the digestion process, to carry out the blood circulation, carry out the respiration process and all. So that is nothing but the division of labor. Like that, in the cells also we can see some specialized organelles. We have the in the cells also we can observe the special components in them. They have the special components in them that we call it as cell organelle. These cell organelles have the special functions. They are specified for their special functions in them. So these cell organelles carry out various functions within the cell. The cell organelles have their own functions. They are meant for their special functions in them. So they will take care of the functions of this cell, such as absorption of the such as making the new material, absorption of the required material, and clearing up of all these waste unwanted materials is carried out by the cell organelles. So there are various cell organelles within the cell. So these cell organelles combined together, they form a single cell. They clubbed into form the single cell. We can see various cell organelles are specified for their different functions. And in the cell we can observe, and in the body we can observe different various cells. But the functions of these cell organelles are similar within the cell. The cell organelles in various cells are similar. Their functions is different, but these cell organelles are similar. No matter that cell organelles are present in which organs, which cells or which organisms, like that. So we can observe various cell organelles within the cell, and they are specified for their special functions. They are characterized for their special functions, and they carry out these these functions of the cell. Because so when we combine all these cell organelles, we can obtain this fundamental life unit of the fundamental basic unit of life, that is cell. So in the body structure we can observe various kinds of cells, but these cell organelles are similar within the cell. Within the set of cell, the cell organelles are similar, no matter that cell organelles are present in which cell, which organisms, like that. Okay, now let us discuss about what the cell is made up of. So what is present in the cell, how it is made up of. So structural organizational of cell. What is the structural organization of the cell? If you take one cell and if you see it under the microscope, you can see these three things. Which are they? Cell membrane or the plasma membrane, you can see plasma membrane or the cell membrane, plasma membrane or the cell membrane, then nucleus, and the third one is cytoplasm. You can observe these three things in the structure of cell, within the cell. So first thing is plasma membrane or the cell membrane. First let us discuss about the plasma membrane or the cell membrane. Cell membrane or the plasma membrane. This is the outermost cover of the cell. This is the outermost cover of the cell. It separates the contents of the cell by the outermost material. It separates the consider this as a cell. It separates this cell membrane, plasma membrane. It is like the cover. Okay, it separates the material inside from the outside material. The contents of the cell from the remaining outer materials. So it allows and permits the entry of the required materials for the cell. It acts like the boundary, and it permits only the required materials for the inside the cell, and it does not allow the movement of other materials into the cell. It acts like the gate. It does not allow the movement of other materials into it. So the plasma membrane or the cell membrane is known as selectively permeable membrane. Why it is known as selectively permeable membrane? Because it allows only the required materials. It will select the required materials into it, and it does not allow the movement of other materials. So that is why it is known as selectively permeable membrane. Now let us discuss how the movement of materials takes place, how it functions. Let us discuss in detail. The function of this plasma membrane is to exchange and transport the gaseous material and required materials into the cell. So exchange of gases, carbon dioxide and oxygen, takes place through the cell membrane by the process called diffusion. We have studied about the process of diffusion. What is that? Movement of material from higher region to the lower region is known as process of diffusion. Movement of the material from the higher region to the lower region is known as higher concentration region to the lower concentration region is known as the diffusion. So movement from higher concentration region to lower concentration region. Is known as the process of diffusion. Okay, so here this movement of this process is spontaneous. The diffusion process takes place spontaneously. Similar things happens inside the cell. What happens whenever the cell required to excrete this gaseous waste, okay, cellular waste, that is carbon dioxide. Whenever it required to excrete this gaseous waste, carbon dioxide, from the cell to outermost side. So what happens? It creates a situation. It accumulates the high concentration of carbon dioxide inside the cell, and that time what happens? The concentration level of carbon dioxide in the outer side is less. So there is there exists a difference in concentration level of carbon dioxide. So this will lead to the removal of excretion of this will lead to the excretion of carbon dioxide from the cell, so by the process of diffusion. So the carbon dioxide inside the cell creates a higher concentration level, and whenever it has to be excreted out from the, whenever it has to be removed from the cell, that time the level of concentration, the concentration level of carbon dioxide outside is less. So that creates a difference in concentration level of carbon dioxide. So that will lead to the removal of carbon dioxide from the cell. So there is a movement of carbon dioxide from the higher concentration region to the lower concentration region. So that process we call it as a diffusion. Got it? Like that, whenever the cell require the oxygen, what happens? What happens? There is the oxygen level. Whenever the cell require the oxygen, what happens? The amount of the concentration level of oxygen outside will be higher compared to the concentration of oxygen inside the cell is less. So whenever it require, what happens? There exists a difference in concentration level of oxygen. So they also follow the same diffusion process. So because of the difference in concentration level of oxygen in and out of the cell, so oxygen enters the cell by the process called diffusion. The movement of water obeys the law of diffusion. The movement of water through such selectively permeable membrane is known as osmosis. Okay, the movement of water obeys the law of diffusion. And the movement of water molecules, the movement of water obeys the law of diffusion. Okay, same thing happens in the movement of water molecules into the cell also. And the movement of water molecules into the cell is known as, the process is known as osmosis. Okay, the movement of water molecules into the movement of water molecules in the selectively permeable membrane is known as osmosis. So what is osmosis process? So what is this osmosis process? The movement of water molecules through such a selectively permeable membrane is called osmosis. So water passes through the cell by the process called osmosis. And the osmosis process, the movement of water molecules is affected by the amount of solvent, amount of materials dissolved in it, amount of substances dissolved in it. Okay, it depends on the movement of water molecules into the through the semi-permeable membrane depends on the amount of dissolved particles in it. Okay, how the diffusion process takes place, like that this osmosis process also takes place by the movement of water molecules from a higher region to the lower region. There is a movement of water molecules from the through the semi-permeable membrane from higher concentration level to the lower concentration level. Okay, now amount of solute dissolved in it. Okay, the moment osmosis process, the movement of the water molecules affected by the amount of solute dissolved in it. Okay, now let us take three situations. Let us understand what will happen if we put the animal cell or the plant cell in the watch glass containing the sugar or salt solution in water. Let us discuss by the first example. Consider there is a cell. Okay, if the concentration of water if the concentration of water Okay, if the medium surrounding the cell has a higher water concentration than the cell, what happens? Okay, that means the outside surrounding medium is dilute compared to the cell, compared to the concentration of water inside the cell. What happens? There is gain of water. Okay, there is gain of water. The cell will gain the water by the process called osmosis. And also there is the movement of water in both the direction. There is entrance and exit of water molecules through this semi-permeable membrane. But because the concentration of water outside the cell is higher, there is gain of water by the osmosis process. There is movement of water molecules in both the direction, but the resultant net okay, there is net gain of water molecules into the cell. The amount of water molecules entering the cell is more compared to the amount of water molecules exiting from the exiting from the cell. So that is the first case. Whenever there is whenever the medium surrounding the cell has a higher concentration of water, then there is a gain of water molecules by the osmosis process into the cell. Let's take the second condition. Okay, consider, and such solution is known as hypotonic solution. The solution is known as hypotonic solution. Take the second example. Okay, let us take, consider in the cell, okay, the concentration of water inside and outside the cell is almost similar. What happens? Water concentration is almost equal in amount, is almost the same inside the cell and outside the cell. What happens to the osmosis process? Okay, there is a movement of water molecules in and out of the cell, but the net movement of water is no. Okay, the net movement of water is zero. There is no increase in the size, there is no gain of water, or there is no lose of water. The water amount in and outside the cell remains the same. Such solution is known as isotonic solution. So the solution, we call it as isotonic solution. Whenever the concentration of water level in and outside the cell will remain the same, that solution is known as isotonic solution, because there is no net movement of water molecules. There is a movement of water molecules in and outside, but the net movement of water molecules will remain the same. There is no change in the size of the cell. The size will remain the same. Take another solution. Okay, if the medium surrounding the cell has a lower water concentration compared to the concentration of water inside the cell, what happens? There is, okay, in which direction the water moves? The water will move in both the direction, but the net movement of water, the net movement of water is the amount of water losing by the cell is more. The water will move out of the cell. The water will come out of the cell. So such a solution is known as hypotonic solution. What happens when we put the cell in the hypotonic solution? The surrounding medium have the lower water concentration compared to the concentration level of water inside the cell. That time what happens, there is movement of water molecules in and outside the cell, but the net movement of water molecules, the large quantity of water molecules will come out of the cell. The water will be removed out of the cell. So that process is known as, that solution is known as hypotonic solution. So that time what happens to the size of the cell? The size of the size of the cell will shrink. Okay, we can see the shrinkage of the cell because of hypotonic solution. Let's understand the osmosis and the law of diffusion by conducting this activity.
Justin, are these all eggs? Yep. But did you use magic? Because they look different. Yeah, they do look different. But we didn't use magic, we used science. Isn't it amazing what eggs can do? Today, we're going to talk about osmosis. Hi, my name is Justin. Today, we're going to talk about osmosis, and we're going to use an egg to illustrate that. Osmosis is a process that lets liquid pass through a semi-permeable membrane. A semi-permeable membrane is a layer that only certain molecules can pass through. First thing we need to do is remove the shell. In order to do that, we have to put it in a cup of vinegar. This part's my favorite part because after 5 to 10 minutes, it starts floating up and down. The egg actually contains oxygen, so as it dissolves the shell, the oxygen is released, which makes the oxygen stick to the shell, and it makes it rise up. And then, once they're all at the surface, the bubbles pop, which makes an effect of coming up and down. Sometimes the egg will spin, and sometimes it won't. Leave your egg in the vinegar for a couple of days until it looks like this, and then gently rinse it off under the water. This is the size of the egg before, and this is the size of it after. You notice that it's bigger because as it's been in the vinegar, it's sucked in some vinegar, which makes it bigger, and which also makes it bouncier. So this is the egg that what it looks like with the vinegar. So this is the first science experiment. Now we're going to do another one, which takes the water out with a thicker liquid. We'll use corn syrup for this next part. Pour corn syrup into a cup and add your egg. Now you might have to push your egg down a little bit because it'll float on the top. We want all of it underneath. You'll notice after a few hours, there will be this liquid on top, and you're going to want to pour that out because otherwise it will be sitting in the vinegar. Pour off the top vinegar and put your egg back in there again and leave it overnight. This is what it looks like once most of the liquid has been removed. As you can see, really, all of the vinegar is out. And a lot of the liquid from the egg is out. It's definitely not bouncy anymore. So, we took the shell off, which also added liquid in the egg. Then, we took the liquid out of the egg. Now, we're going to show how to get the liquid back in the egg. Remember, this is not magic, this is science. Take a cup of water, add food coloring, which you want your egg to look like, and gently add your egg. Leave it for a few hours, and then pull it out, and it should look something like this. Now, this is actually the same size as this, but with color, which is even cooler. Want to see it up close?
Now I get it. It's not magic, it's science.
Yep, it's osmosis.
I wonder if we could, when we could open it and these eggs would explode everywhere.
Whoa.
That is amazing.
Look at the inside, that's humongous.
Yeah.
Through osmosis, we are able to add and remove liquid from our egg. This was a really fun experiment. I hope you learned as much as I learned.
We can give so many examples for the osmosis process. The most of the unicellular organisms and the plants they gain their water, the required amount of water through the process of osmosis. Okay, the absorption of water by the plants is an example for the osmosis process. So we can say that diffusion process is important for the exchange of gases and water by the living organisms through the cell. Okay, so the diffusion process is important for the living organisms for the exchange of gases and the required materials to the cell. Thus the plasma membrane is flexible for the movement of the required materials in and out in order to exchange the materials in and out of the cell. So this plasma cell, okay, this plasma cell is made up of lipids and proteins. It's a organic cell. Plasma cell is an organic cell which is made up of lipids and proteins. We can observe this plasma membrane only through the electronic microscopes. And this flexibility of the membrane, the flexibility in the plasma membrane enables the engulf of the food by some organisms, unicellular organisms. The amoeba is an example for this. Okay, amoeba taking the required food materials through the process called diffusion. For the diffusion process, there should be flexibility. The flexibility of this plasma membrane enables them to engulf the food into the cell, and to remove all materials, remove all the unwanted waste material through the cell is done through the flexibility of this plasma membrane. So it is very important. Along with the plasma membrane, especially the plants have the cell wall. Okay, along with the plasma membrane, plants have the cell wall. So this cell wall lies outside the plasma membrane. Okay, the cell wall lies outside the plasma membrane. And this cell wall is made up of, it mainly contains the cellulose. It is made up of cellulose. So cellulose is a complex substance. Okay, that gives the that provides the structural strength to the cell. Okay, that provides the structural strength to the plant cell. Okay, here how the exchange of water, how the transportation of water takes place. Transportation of water, absorption of water takes place through the osmosis process. So what happens, whenever the plant loses the water, there we can observe the shrinkage in the cell wall, or there is a contraction of the contents of the cell away from the cell. So this phenomenon is known as plasmolysis. Let us understand what is plasmolysis by conducting this activity.
Study of plasmolysis. Plasmolysis is the process of shrinkage or contraction of the protoplasm of a plant cell as a result of loss of water from the cell through osmosis. We can induce plasmolysis in the laboratory by immersing living cells in a strong saline or sugar solution to reduce water in the cell. Normally, people use Royo or Tradescantia plant epidermal cells for this experiment, as their colored cell sap is clearly visible. Materials required: Royo leaf, forceps, glass slides, cover slips, compound microscope, needle, droppers, sodium chloride 0.1% solution and sodium chloride 5% solution. Procedure: take 2 glass slides and place them on the table. Take a Royo leaf from the Petri dish. Fold the leaf and tear it along the lower side of the leaf. Using a forceps, pull out 2 small segments of thin, transparent layer from the lower epidermis of the royo leaf. Place the epidermal peels on both glass slides. Using a dropper, take some sodium chloride 0.1% solution from the beaker. Put 1 to 2 drops of solution on one slide. Using another dropper, take sodium chloride 5% solution from the beaker. Put 1 to 2 drops of solution on the next slide. Place a cover slip over the peel of both slides using a needle. Place the slides one by one under the compound microscope. Observe them under the microscope. Observation. After half an hour, we can observe that cells in sodium chloride 0.1% solution appear turgid, while cells in the sodium chloride 5% solution show plasmolysis. Conclusion. When plant cells are immersed in sodium chloride 5% solution or concentrated salt solution, water moves through the cell membrane into the surrounding medium because the water concentration inside the cell is greater than that which is outside the cell. Ultimately, the protoplasm causes shrinkage and assumes a spherical shape. This is called plasmolysis. When a plant cell is immersed in sodium chloride 0.1% solution or dilute salt solution, the water moves into the cell because of the higher concentration of water outside the cell than inside the cell. The cell then swells and becomes turgid.
So what is the application of these cell walls? Cell walls permits the cells of plants, fungi and bacteria to withstand very dilute external media without bursting. In such media, the cells tend to take up the water by osmosis. The cell swells, building up pressure against the wall of the cell. The wall exerts an equal pressure against the swollen cell. Because of their wall, such cells can withstand much greater changes in the surrounding media than animal cell. So, cell wall is important in plants, bacteria and fungi in order to withstand very dilute external media without bursting. Okay, in today's class we have discussed about few things about the cell, okay, structure of cell. In the next class, let us learn more about the cell in detail and what about the animal cell, plant cell and all. Thank you, students.